You're traveling in the left-hand lane of a 3-lane motorway. How should you react to traffic joining from a slip road? Switch on your hazard warning lights. Maintain a steady speed. Increase your speed to make sure they join behind you. Adjust your speed or change lane if you can do so safely. Which sign means no entry? For how long is a statutory off-road notification (SORN) valid? Until the vehicle is repaired or modified. Until the vehicle is insured and MO-termed. Until the vehicle is taxed, sold or scrapped. Until the vehicle is used on the road. Where would it be unsafe to overtake? On a one-way street. Approaching a junction. On a single carriageway. Traveling up a long hill. How can you reduce the damage your vehicle causes to the environment? Anticipate well ahead. Use busy routes. Brake heavily. Use narrow side streets. You're towing a caravan. Which is the safest type of rear view mirror to use? Interior wide angle mirror. Extended arm side mirrors. Ordinary interior mirror. Ordinary door mirrors. You're on a motorway. What does it mean when a red cross is displayed above the hard shoulder? Pull up in this lane to answer your mobile phone. Use this lane as a running lane. This lane can be used if you need a rest. You must not travel in this lane. If you're involved in a collision, what will reduce the risk of neck injury? An air-sprung seat, anti-lock brakes, a collapsible steering wheel, a properly adjusted head restraint. You're driving with your front fog lights switched on. What should you do if the fog has cleared? Leave them on if other drivers have their lights on. Switch them off as long as visibility remains good. Drive with them on instead of your headlights. Flash them to warn oncoming traffic that it's foggy. You're driving with your front fog lights switched on. What should you do if the fog has cleared? Leave them on if other drivers have their lights on. Switch them off as long as visibility remains good. Drive with them on instead of your headlights. Flash them to warn oncoming traffic that it's foggy. You're driving at night on an unlit road. What should you do if you're following another vehicle? Use full beam headlights. Flash your headlights. Use dipped headlights. Switch off your headlights. You're being overtaken by a long, heavily laden lorry. What should you do if it's taking a long time for it to overtake? Speed up. Slow down. Hold your speed. Change direction. You're driving on a clear night. Which lights should you use if the national speed limit applies and there's a steady stream of oncoming traffic? Dipped headlights. Side lights. Full beam headlights. Fog lights. What does third-party insurance cover? Damage to other vehicles. Damage to your vehicle. Injury to yourself. All damage and injury. What should you do if the left-hand pavement is closed due to street repairs? Speed up to get past the roadworks more quickly. Use your right-hand mirror more often. Watch out for pedestrians walking in the road. Position close to the left-hand curb. What does this signal mean? Both trams and cars must stop. Both trams and cars can continue. Trams must stop. Cars must stop. When would you increase the pressure in your tires so that it's above the normal value? When the roads are slippery. When the vehicle is fitted with anti-lock brakes. When carrying a heavy load. When the tire tread is worn below 2 millimeters. How can drivers help the environment? By accelerating harshly. By using leaded fuel. By accelerating gently. By driving faster. You're driving on a busy main road. What should you do if you find that you're driving in the wrong direction? Turn around in a side road. Make a 3-point turn in the main road. Make a U-turn in the main road. Turn into a side road on the right and reverse into the main road. Why could it be dangerous to reverse from a side road into a main road? Your reverse sensors will beep. Your reversing lights will be hidden. Your view will be restricted. Your mirrors will need adjusting. When should you use the left-hand lane of a motorway? When your vehicle breaks down. When you're overtaking slower traffic in the other lanes. When you're making a phone call. When the road ahead is clear. How much can stopping distances increase in icy conditions? 3 times, 5 times, 2 times, 10 times. Which diagram shows a hazard warning line? How should you position yourself when you use the emergency telephone on a motorway? Face the oncoming traffic. Keep your back to the traffic. Stand on the hard shoulder. Stay close to the carriageway. Which sign shows that a tanker is carrying dangerous goods? How does drinking alcohol affect your driving behavior? It improves judgment skills. It leads to faster reactions. It increases confidence. It increases concentration. What does this sign mean? Level crossing without gate. Ahead only. Crossroads. Level crossing with gate. You're driving along a quiet motorway. Which advanced driver assistance system is most likely to help you? Lane departure warning. Automotive night vision. Traffic jam assist. Intelligent speed assist. What should you do if you have to make a journey in foggy conditions? Follow other vehicles' tail lights closely. Leave plenty of time for your journey. Keep 2 seconds behind the vehicle ahead. Avoid using dipped headlights.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm.
There are no speed limit signs on the road. In England, Scotland and Northern Ireland, how is a 30 miles per hour limit generally indicated? By street lighting, by double or single yellow lines, by hazard warning lines, by pedestrian islands. Which sign means no motor vehicles allowed? You're carrying two 13-year-old children and their parents in your car. Who's responsible for seeing that the children wear seat belts? You. The driver. The front seat passenger. The children's parents. What should you do if you cannot see clearly behind when you're reversing? Look in the near side mirror. Open the window to look behind. Ask someone to guide you. Open the door to look behind. What should you do when you're overtaking a horse and rider? Go past as quickly as possible. Sound your horn as a warning. Flash your headlights as a warning. Go past slowly and carefully. You're on a road that's only wide enough for one vehicle. What should you do if a car is coming towards you? Pull into a passing place if your vehicle is wider. Pull into a passing place on your right. Force the other driver to reverse. Pull into a passing place on your left. Why should you switch your headlights on when it first starts to get dark? To make your dials easier to see. So that you blend in with other drivers. So others can see you more easily. Because the street lights are lit. You see a horse rider as you approach a roundabout. What should you do if they are signaling right but keeping well to the left? Keep close to them. Proceed as normal. Cut in front of them. Stay well back. You're approaching this roundabout. What should you do when a cyclist is keeping to the left while signaling to turn right? Sound your horn. Assume they are turning left. Overtake them. Allow them space to turn. What does this traffic sign mean? Tires liable to punctures ahead. Slippery road ahead. Danger ahead. Service area ahead. What will happen to your car when you drive up a steep hill? The steering will feel heavier. The high gears will pull better. Overtaking will be easier. The engine will work harder. You're following a slower moving vehicle. What should you do if there's a junction just ahead on the right? Accelerate quickly to overtake before reaching the junction. Slow down and prepare to overtake on the left. Only consider overtaking when you're past the junction. Overtake after checking your mirrors and signaling. What should you do as you approach this overhead bridge? Find another route. This one is only for high vehicles. Move out to the center of the road before going through. Be prepared to give way to large vehicles in the middle of the road. Move across to the right-hand side before going through. What does this sign mean? No trams ahead. Oncoming trams. Trams crossing ahead. Trams only. What's the reason for traffic calming measures? To slow traffic down. To make parking easier. To make overtaking easier. To stop road rage. What will happen if you hold the clutch pedal down or roll in neutral for too long? It will reduce your control. It will cause the engine to overheat. It will use more fuel. It will improve tire wear. You're about to overtake. What should you do when you see this sign? Move to the right to get a better view. Hold back until you can see clearly ahead. Switch your headlights on before overtaking. Overtake the other driver as you're approaching an unmarked crossroads. How should you deal with the junction? Accelerate and keep to the middle. Accelerate and look to the left. Slow down and keep to the right. Slow down and look both ways. What should you do if you're towing a trailer and it starts to swing from side to side? Ease off the accelerator to reduce your speed. Accelerate until it stabilizes. Let go of the steering wheel and let it correct itself. Brake hard and hold the pedal down. Why has the bus driver positioned the bus on the left? The bus needs extra room to get around the roundabout. In case the pedestrian wants to get on the bus. The sign on the roundabout is directing traffic to keep left. To get a better view of the roundabout. Why does the cyclist take the longer route around the roundabout? It's easier to give arm signals while you're on the left. The cyclist is riding into a one-way street. Cyclists may keep to the left for safety. To avoid being dazzled by the sun. What do the yellow lines along the edge of the road mean? They mark the edge of the road. No waiting. They are rumble strips. Pedestrians shouldn't cross where there are yellow lines. You're traveling in the left-hand lane of a 3-lane motorway. How should you react to traffic joining from a slip road? You correctly answered adjust your speed or change lane if you can do so safely. Which sign means no entry? You chose the correct answer. For how long is a statutory off-road notification, SON, valid? You correctly answered until the vehicle is taxed, sold or scrapped. Where would it be unsafe to overtake? You correctly answered approaching a junction. How can you reduce the damage your vehicle causes to the environment? You correctly answered anticipate well ahead. You're towing a caravan. Which is the safest type of rear view mirror to use? You correctly answered extended arm side mirrors. You're on a motorway. What does it mean when a red cross is displayed above the hard shoulder? You correctly answered you must not travel in this lane. If you're involved in a collision, what will reduce the risk of neck injury? You correctly answered a properly adjusted head restraint. You're driving with your front fog lights switched on. What should you do if the fog has cleared? You correctly answered switch them off as long as visibility remains good. You're driving at night on an unlit road. What should you do if you're following another vehicle? You correctly answered use dipped headlights. You're being overtaken by a long, heavily laden lorry. What should you do if it's taking a long time for it to overtake? You correctly answered slow down. You're driving on a clear night. Which lights should you use if the national speed limit applies and there's a steady stream of oncoming traffic? You correctly answered dipped headlights. What does third-party insurance cover? You correctly answered damage to other vehicles. What should you do if the left-hand pavement is closed due to street repairs? You correctly answered watch out for pedestrians walking in the road.